This is Show versus Business, your weekly take on pop culture from two very different perspectives with your hosts, the real Theo Harvey and Mr. Benja, come with all the relevant info about the week in pop culture. So, Mr. Benja, what are we covering today?
As always, we're going to be covering the 5 that you need to know about. I don't know. We got to integrate the 5 in there somehow because there are always the 5 good ones. Anyway, this week, our 5 are we're going to talk about Disney's approach to TV and does it suck or not? Actually, let me spoil that. It does suck. We're going to tell you why. We're going to tell you what's going on. And they got some things they're going to change around. So we'll see how this all plays out. Also, the AI chatbots are putting in some work over at Meta. Some of your favorite celebrities involved too. So you're talking about people selling their soul to AI and whatnot. It's happening already, whether you think it's selling their soul or whether you think it's good use of new technology. We'll see. But Meta's involved, celebrities are involved. That's going to be our AI watch for the week. Also, we're going to have the update on the right actors. Sorry, I'm getting choked up because of the actors. They got me in my feels right now. The strike talk. The actors want more. They're still not pleased. The strike has a little update. Theo's going to really go in heavy on that one. And for our fourth story, we're going to have Threads taking another swing at X. I almost called it Twitter again. Sorry. The artist formerly known as Twitter, X, is coming in with some updates, and Threads decided to jump on that and make a new push. And I think they have a button they're turning that just gets people excited. We'll talk about what Meta's up to over there. Finally, we're going to have a little vent. Got to talk about Jada Pinkett-Smith just a little bit. Or are we just saying Jada Pinkett now, not Jada Pinkett-Smith? So we'll see. But yeah, she's out here using media like a baddie, whether that's a good baddie or a bad baddie or a bad meaning bad baddie. We'll get into that later. Anyway, those are the 5 that we're going to talk about. How does all that sound?
Man, it sounds wonderful, man. I'm ready to get into it. Mr. Benja, man, let me tell you another story, man. It's story time.
I like your stories.
Uh, yeah, it just, you get excited about a show and you're like, man, I want to see something. I'm excited about these new shows coming out. It's after a long, hard day of work. I usually only get 1 hour to myself to watch something new. I get so excited, man. I want to go in and just relax and just enjoy myself, Mr. Benja. I thought this show was going to be the one for me. And it came from the pedigree was strong. It was
Strong?
like strong. It came from another show. It was almost a spinoff, if you will. And I was like, man, I think I'm feeling this. I'm ready for it. I like the cast. Man, the Gen V, the boy spinoff, it is not looking good for me,
Uh,
Mr. Bench.
I,
I'm
I thought
not.
you I thought you were going to go with something else here.
I know. That's why I tell the stories, man. Yeah, man. The Gen V is the new TV show that's on Amazon Prime, the spinoff of The Boys, basically about superheroes in college. And like I said, I thought it was going to be decent, but it's almost like Riverdale or those teen shows on the CW back in the day, but
I
with
like Riverdale,
superpowers.
but I don't know if I'd like Gen V to be that way.
Exactly. And I'm like, this ain't for me. It's cool. It's that teenage angst. I get it, but it's and then they're trying to infuse it with some superhero conspiracy theory. So I think it's trying to do too much. Now, to be honest with you, I like the cast. I like the premise. There's a lot of things I like here, but I guess the impression I was like, hey, we're in college. Let's explore superhero stuff. But I think they're trying to do too much. They're trying to be conspiracy theory, trying to show the superhero stuff in college. I don't think they mix well. And so I'm gonna give it some more. I watched the first season of anything, but like I said, they need to correct this pretty quickly, Mr. Benja. But I'm not feeling it. I don't know if you checked it out yet. Have you
No,
seen the show?
no, I haven't. But it's funny you said anime in the past couple years, and they've always had this edge to them. But in the past couple years, they've really made it a point to say, all right, our first 3 or so episodes are going to be bangers right out the box. And even if you finish up and if you finish like the first 1, 2 episodes, you're like, okay, even if I ride through this and the ending's bad, I'm okay with that. And then they don't do the try to build up slow or see if it ever gets its footing. It's like the way they write is now, listen, if we don't get you right off the bat, this show is not for you. So you just
Mm.
know, and it's not like a bad thing. So I don't know how Gen V is doing it, but we'll talk about some of the other Disney shows later. I wasn't impressed with how they were rolling out. So we'll
TV is
see.
hard. It's hard to get a banger right out the box, right? I can count on one hand, like the Lost pilot, right? That was amazing. You remember
Yeah.
that back in the day with the crash, the airplane crash, and the drama from that. Just hard to get a banger right at the beginning, right? Most shows, US shows, let's be honest. There was a show I used to watch back in the day called Spartacus. I think I talked about to you about it years ago on Stars. Terrible first episode. Terrible. But man, they corrected that thing so fast, man. You thought that it was a U train, man. It was like, wow, this thing got really good really fast. And because I guess that the director and actors and everybody just knew what the show was about. It was so Spartacus, just not to get into a show that came out 10 years ago, but basically it was about the slave uprising in ancient Rome. And it told the story of Spartacus and how he became a general and all that kind of stuff to take over Rome. And they started it off where it's just like really like too stylized and too all this over the place. And then what they end up doing is they flipped it around where they realized what was really powerful is the story of being a slave in that time and how you
Mhm.
had no control over your body and what you could do. And that made it compelling. It was like you really cared about if this guy was going to come something greater than where he started as a slave. And so I think
Mm.
when people know what the story they're telling is about, it becomes more compelling. Gen V, I think they have a compelling story. They're trying to conflict a lot of different things here, right? So the superpowers, two of the superpowers, they're dealing with issues that young people suffer. So basically, one of the young girls, she suffers, she has the power of blood, but to get the power, she has to cut herself. It's okay. You get power from cutting yourself, which is could be triggering for some people. And another girl, she can get big or tall based on what she eats. And so, but she wants to get smaller, she has to throw up. So it's like, guys, what are you guys doing? Let's
Yeah.
not conflate,
There's a guy with
getting strength. Go ahead.
there's a guy with the chart in the back. This is the nose, and your show is here's how close your story beat is to that nose. Are you on the nose? We want it on the nose.
Exactly, man. It's just, what are you guys doing? So anyway, just tell a compelling story about what it means to be in this world and trying to make a place for themselves, which they started with the young lady that they're featuring on. We're seeing where she came from nothing and she's trying to do something for herself. Right? I think there's some compelling there. But like I said, man, it's just like when you make a TV show, man, you gotta make stuff that's compelling. So yeah, I was hoping it'd be a little bit better because, like I said, it's not a lot to watch anymore. We'll talk why with these strikes.
Yeah.
But when I do have time to watch something, I'm mad, Mr. Bench. I'm going back to reality TV, and I hate myself for it. There's nothing to watch.
I got to put you on a concept show. Like we were talking about anime, how they
Mhm.
do it. And I want to research this. I think it's because of the way they released the books first
What's that?
and the manga.
Yeah.
Anime. I actually can't think of an anime only show. I can only think of ones that are translated from manga. And the way the
Mm.
manga works,
Well, let me ask you a question. Even I know Dragon Ball Z, but Pokemon that started from manga.
see, that's a curious one. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't That's a curious one. That's one of the few curiosities that may not be a manga thing, but it has a manga. I don't know if the manga
Yeah.
came
I
first
don't know if it
though.
came after. Yeah, exactly. I know Dragon Ball Z was one. I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
Fall of Titan and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but the way the Japanese manga system works is you just basically have this whole industry that sits around with the manga writers, and every month or every 2 months or whatever, a new one will come out. They'll just keep coming out. And what it is, you have these newsstands, and people will walk by the newsstands and just grab the new hot one or a new compilation, right? They'll have 5 or 6 stories that are starting in episode 1. And they're like, all right, we're about to give this story 6 runs in this magazine or 6 runs on the manga. And if it doesn't hit, we're on to the next one. So they have to come out the box hard. And it just, if they don't get picked up there, then they usually don't get picked up for a whole anime series and the big budgets and everything else.
Gotcha.
So it's like sink or swim kind of stuff. And I'm gonna put you on One Punch Man. You don't have to watch the whole thing because I don't say it's that great to watch, but as far as like get a concept in the first episode, okay,
Okay.
this is it.
I'll check it.
It's just one of those. I'll send you a list.
Yeah, maybe we'll put it out there too, guys, on Instagram too. But One Piece, I tried to read the manga because I want to get ahead of the story. Couldn't do it.
Yeah,
It was just yeah, it's just too much. And then I tried to watch the cartoon,
too much.
the anime. It was too
Wow.
much.
Yeah,
It was too. So I'm stuck on watching the live action now.
and
So it's just
that's how it should be. Yeah.
because I went. That's when Game of Thrones came out as a TV show first.
Uh,
So I'm there. So I read the book, and the books kept me going. But like sometimes you can't go to another medium with some of the shows you like, and that's disheartening because I want to get ahead. I said,
yeah.
"Oh, there's some cool stuff coming. Let me see." I can't do this.
Clip that.
Literally, I have it on my. I have it on. I downloaded Kindle of the next series, the version when as if they move on in the series after you watch a live action One Piece and then they move on. I try to read it, man. I couldn't read it, and it's
Yeah,
just
it's a different beast.
there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool, man. But yeah, I'll send the I might put in the show notes, check out the show notes. I'm gonna have a couple anime first episode or
Those
first 2 episode bangers.
I love it.
I'll write that note down. But yeah, what else has been going on this week?
No, not much for me, man. Beyond that, just high level. We won't get into the social politics too much, politics of things going on, but just definitely praying for the Israel people and what's going on there. Pretty disheartening. That is a social media story we don't really talk about too much on this channel or on this podcast, but it is one of those things that I think is changing how we view news. And we may talk about that a little bit in our threads discussion. People are thirsty for content, right? So Twitter is falling apart because they don't have moderation set up correctly. So people are seeing all kind of crazy stuff. The TikTok is stepping up, and now images are getting out there that I can't have a 11-year-old and 7-year-old. You know, thank God they're on TikTok. Imagine stuff that kids are seeing now, right? Because people put that on social media, and there's really no moderation. And so when you think about stuff like that, you realize the importance of social media, but more importantly, to help, obviously, but also getting images out that may not be ready for everyone. And so we're seeing that with Israel, with some of the devastation that's coming out there. And so definitely it's heartbreaking when you see the images and when you pray that everything goes back to peace. But I do feel like this is the beginning of something definitely different in the world.
Yeah, there's a guy that always posts really edgy content, like how is this guy still online?
Mhm.
And yeah, he got severely limited and many of his posts removed after a couple of images from this Middle East conflict with Israel, Gaza, and all that. So it's changing media because I think right after Ukraine, people saw how we always knew media is a weapon that is used in these types of conflicts or any conflict actually, but the way we're seeing it now, it's I don't want to say who can out
Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Who
news
can
content.
outshock you? Yeah,
Yeah,
who can outshock you the fastest and all that.
it's like look
But
what
you make
they
a good
did, look
point.
what they did, and it's like wow,
Even the Ukraine crisis, right? The president of Ukraine, he used to be the John Stewart. He was a TV
right,
comedian host. So he's been using media to persuade the West to give him more help, more substance so they can survive this war against Russia. So he's been using it as a tool, not just to show the conflict on the ground, but to use his communication style and medium to influence the celebrities and influencers to come help his country. So you're right, man, Mr. Benjamin. We're in a new world of but I do fear that could be a good or bad thing, but I do feel people see these images could be desensitizing to everybody. See these things, these are real folks. Okay? This is not TV, it's not fake. But at the same time, you do see the devastation. So maybe there will be some hesitation before people go full blown into these type of areas. But yeah, it's just pretty devastating. That area is always, exploding into some kind of conflict. But this is definitely something that was pretty devastating what they're trying to do there. And Israel don't play, man. If you read anything about Israel, they can't. Yeah, they're surrounded by enemies everywhere. So it's like you do anything to them, it's like you cut off their finger, they gonna cut off your hand. If you cut off, if they just because they have
yeah,
to, they have to be punitive in their reply to any attack against them, because the folks have to realize if you do that, then you're gonna have to face the full blunt of Israel. So basically, they're now Hamas terrorist attack, yes, but now they're full the full resources to get everybody at that Gaza Strip, and they're trying to clean that whole area out now. They're not even playing no more. But anyway, so it's going to be pretty tough for the next couple of months, maybe years.
Yeah, this isn't going away quietly anytime soon. And once again, definitely want to handle this properly. And we're not really going to get into it deeply on what's going on or our feelings on it, but this is something we do keep track of. And we hope for the best. And we hope some type of resolution can come to play because war is just a problem any way you look at it. And when you're dealing with such a constrained place, you got to remember this strip is like the size of Detroit. Yeah, it's a hotbed. It's not a conflict that's spread out over a large area and then there can be some downtime. It's like the size of Detroit, as I said. Yeah, we hope for the
So
best and watch out for misinformation and be sure you're getting informed on both sides. When I say both sides, I'm not talking about Hamas. That's definitely a terrorist organization, but there are multiple angles to this whole issue, and
absolutely.
it's funny. All of the search outlets are very quick to tell you if you do a search on ChatGPT or Bard. I went checking to get extra information. It's listen. I'm an AI bot. I normally give you bad information, but with this, I'm going to let you know. I know what the hell I'm talking about. It's a, it's a
It actually
complicated
says that
issue.
now.
Yeah, it stops and tells you like, listen, I'm just saying. I normally tell you shit that I don't know about and I don't care. But this
Listening.
time, I just want you to know, go do your research, go talk to a friend, go find some experts, see opposing views. And it really takes care to make sure you don't go in there with bad information. So it's very interesting in that respect.
I love it, Mr. Benja. So anything going on with you, Mr. Benja? And I'm going to walk away for a second. I got to turn some lights on. So you just keep talking, brother. I'm here.
Hey, I thought we were just chilling in the dark.
Yeah, I know. We're going to keep it on the pod, though. That's what we do. So
Do
go
your
ahead
thing.
and
Do
keep
your
going.
thing. Yeah, so I got 2 new concepts going on here. Not one concept, but I was listening to a few people talk about staying positive and keeping going, from Jocko Willink to Tony Robbins to Joe Rogan on the other side, even to Abraham Hicks, Woo Master, and Brene Brown. So I was bouncing all over the place, just seeing what different people were saying about positivity because you go to one camp and they're like, just be positive. And the other camp is that's for boneheads. Like, what do you say to be positive? You got to do this. They don't like it. So there's different views on being positive. So one of these things, the idea that looking at everything like it's all good. And I put out the blog post, all work is play, all of it. And this is me updating the way I look at things. So if something bad happens, do you just say, okay, this is good? It's not good per se in every situation, but I get the sentiment that you want to say, okay, this is good. This is a new experience. I can move forward, be positive. And when something actually is good, I don't necessarily want to say it's good because then I'm all of a sudden, I'm getting lax and I'm thinking that my outcome can be determined by or my feeling can be determined by some outcome. So I'm going with nice and very well then. So when something good happens, nice. It's not like I'm worried about the outcome. Good things happen, they happen, and I'm happy for it. Good thing happens, nice. But if it's a bad something that happens to me, very well then. And we change up our options and we deal. But both of those are an acceptance of things. And so I'm practicing this nice and very well then. So those are my positive and negative now. Nothing is positive, nothing is negative. It's either nice or very well then. And I keep going about my business. It's going to be great.
I like that. I think you're trying to decouple yourself from the outcomes. As human beings, we struggle with that. All the guys I listen to as well, they talk about that. You really got to
Yeah.
focus more on your input. Can't worry about the out. You learn from the outputs, so you get better at the inputs. But really, it's almost like you have no control over that. But it's like
Hmm.
you just have to. And the more you can focus, because the secret of it is, the more you focus on your inputs, then guess what? You will get the outcome, but you just got to constantly do the inputs. And the challenge is you get discouraged because the outputs are not what you expected. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing it anymore. But I do that approach. I might try to just borrow that piece from you, Mr. Benja, because I agree. That's a better approach to be positive. It's not so much. And I think people realize, and I think as you get older too, and you just be in this game a little bit longer, entrepreneurship, you realize what? None of this stuff is going to kill you at the end of the day. You learn from it and you try to improve. But if you can just be above it all almost, yes, I got this big deal I'm trying to do, right, Mr. Benja?
Mhm.
They're taking forever, get the contract done. My business partners, oh, you ready to spend up all this stuff? We're going to do all this. I said, hold up. Wait a minute. He said, you said it was 90% done. I said, yes, but they said they're ready to move to contracting, but I haven't heard anything about a timeline. So I sent them a nice little email. I said, hey, things are changing. We need to know what your timelines look like in order so we can prepare our inventory level. She sent a nice email back. No time. She just said, yes, around the next 90 days, we'll do something. But she didn't give me a timeline. I said,
Yeah.
cool. And I told my business partners, that's all I can do, man.
Very
If they
well
want to
done.
move forward, they'll let us know, but I'm not going to, there's nothing else I can do to force them to. If they do, great. But in the meantime, I'm going to focus on some other inputs.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
your
that
point, yes.
exactly. So that is exactly what you said, decoupling from the outcome, where you're unconditionally badass, not conditional badass if this happens or this happens. In fact, that may be the title of it, unconditional badassery or something.
Is that an adjective?
I don't know. But anyway, how about story number 1? Ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right. Disney's TV approach sucks. It's been a while. We've been working with it. We talked about the commercialization, the Easter egg TV. How many episodes should it be? Is it too short? Is it too long? They've been experimenting and trying out things. But just recently, they restarted Daredevil. They went and looked at what the writers were doing, what they had prepared, and how it was going so far. And they said, you know what? We're going back to the drawing board. We might have to admit that some of this is a little busted.
Trash.
Yeah. So Thea, what happened? What happened with Daredevil? How did it get kicked off?
Oh, Mr. Benja, man. From what we read, right, I think it says that they actually filmed a couple of episodes already prior to the strikes. And remember, this is going to be a big one. It's not going to be one of those little small one-off limited series, right? Like Hawkeye or even Loki with 8 episodes, 6 episodes. This is going to be 18 episodes of TV, right? So they created it. I guess Kevin Feige looked at what he had and he realized the old way of doing things is no longer going to work, man. We can't film this like a 18-hour movie. Because I think that was their impression that they could just wing it, create a storyline. And it does seem like a lot of this approach is no longer working. And the traditional way of doing TV where you have A, B, C, D storylines, like coalesce at the end, it all makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, that's something that I think Marvel's going back to the drawing board with Daredevil. And I think to be honest with you, now that I think about it, the 18 episode order, I think that's what probably made them reconsider a lot of things, at least with Daredevil. Hopefully that would start them doing other stuff. But I think because that length because look, let's be honest, they got the original cast pretty much, right? Daredevil
Yeah.
came back. So they don't want to squander this because there was already some goodwill with the original TV show that Marvel put out there on Netflix. So
which even survived the Hawkeye treatment to some extent and the She-Hulk treatment, which is where we saw some of these characters reappear.
To She-Hulk, yep. Yeah, was Kingpin in She-Hulk or was he in something else?
Kingpin was in Hawkeye.
He was in Hawkeye too? Okay,
series.
perfect. Yeah. But it was sketchy.
And we've had 2 chances to reintroduce these characters and the reception wasn't that good. So going into this, I think they may have had a little more care about it. We're like, guys, we're about to squander all of this goodwill that's already existing. I don't want to say they built it up because it was existing back from Netflix and people still rocked with it. And now it's okay, let's not take this all the way because this sucks.
So many words. Yeah, man, it's interesting. Yeah, Loki's out now. I saw the first episode. I think you saw ahead of it. Me and Mr. Bitches at 2 episodes. Like I mentioned last time, it did feel like a little like homework. I don't know. How are you feeling about Loki? So take a step back. What, last year, 2 years ago, man, we were so hyped for these Marvel TV shows. Remember, WandaVision came out. We were like, oh, I was waking up at 3 in the morning. It's like, oh, I gotta watch this, man. And
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were like, what they gonna do next? And then Loki came out, blew our mind, and we're just like, man, but it's just like I think the high came with Loki, and it's just been steadily. Loki, has moments. I had some moments that were slow, but ultimately it felt like fulfilling. But this just feels like homework to me. I don't know, Mr. Benja. How are you? Like,
It almost sounded like you said it felt fulfilling, but it was just like you meant it was filler. It's just
yeah.
fluff, right?
So
That's what
no, the original Loki was fulfilling, right? It
oh,
was
it
like,
was okay.
hey, this, yes, because of the John Majors of it all, which is a whole nother thing now. But he who remains, right? That was
Yeah,
pretty interesting, and how they got to that point. But that was the best, yeah, ending almost of all the Marvel endings, TV
yeah.
show endings. But like I said, I just think that where you at now, you're watching the second season. How are you liking it?
So, I think they're doing the exact opposite of what I mentioned in the show intro and, our banter talk. I think they're doing the opposite of that anime jump in, hit them hard kinda thing, where they're trying to build up the characters and take their time with things. It's, "Hey, look, man, I got limited time. I got 8 episodes, 6 episodes. I gotta jump in. I gotta hit the ground running. Don't come with any weak sauce." I was about to curse there. Don't come with any weak sauce. And that's what they think they can do. They think "Oh, we'll just treat it softly. We'll come in with a little bit of intrigue, see what the people say on the forums." No, you gotta give them the manga treatment. And once again, and this may be the thing with manga and anime, there is no connection with any other manga and anime from series to series. Dragon Ball Z might be the only long running connection where it's, yeah, we're going to take these characters and have Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT. And these characters are just in a slightly different form where we recreate a series. But with this Marvel stuff, nah, man, I think you got to come in and be like, listen, this character could die, this thing could happen, this badness is going on, and you got to hit them hard. None of this, let's sit around and twiddle our thumbs. For 18 episodes? You talking with Daredevil coming off with 18 episodes and you don't see him in his suit for the first 4? Get out of
Oh
here with that.
no! Oh no! Oh
Get
no!
out of here with that.
I
Get out
didn't
of here.
know that. Oh no! Kevin Feige out there, he said, "Oh," but let's be honest. I think it came down high that these TV shows were not going to do anything revealing
Mhm.
because they wanted to save it for the movies, right? So they will put some little Easter eggs in there to prep you for Hawkeye, for instance.
Yes.
They introduced some characters, and we knew they were going to show up in Black Widow.
Yeah.
So is that compelling, or is that just a trailer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just watched the 18-hour trailer. I think that model is dead now. Marvel, and then to Kevin Feige's favor, I think he's realizing that, and hopefully the strike had gave him time to really think through and map out how they're going to right this ship, because I think a lot of folks are just feeling exhausted.
That's a good point. When you're in the thick of something and everything's moving, it's hard to change a tire while you're on the highway driving.
Um,
So you got to pull over to a gas station, stop, open the map, get some Twizzlers and Funyuns from the store, talk
yeah,
about where you're going. So yeah, I hope for the best. And I just got back on Disney Plus, so I'm starting into The Mandalorian season 3. It's interesting, but once again, man, it just didn't hit me. Uh, Do I have to write it? Do I have to do a video essay on this? I don't want to become a video essay guy. Anyway,
he
but
should. He deserves it.
you're up to date on Ahsoka. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, this is outside MCU, but this is all the Disney TV show brands. I feel the same way. I think Ashoka had moments like I didn't know any of this stuff, right? Because I didn't watch Clone Wars, I didn't watch Rebels. I literally had to fast forward to watch Rebels to get caught up on Ashoka. So that's homework number one. But it was good homework.
Homework.
I think you and my buddy Dr. Chris. Maybe we'll get Dr. Chris on here one day. Dr. Chris told me about Rebels. It was good. And for what I saw, it was good. for the, for the fast forward 8 episodes I saw, that was some good shit. Man, I'm getting emotional. I only saw 8 episodes. But anyway, so yeah, it was pretty good, man. I went to Ashoka high hopes, like I'm sure all the Rebels and the Clone War fans were. But man, it just seems like this is a lot, man. It's very niche. They got whales in space for Star Wars, and it's just okay. So if I came in here and all I saw was Star Wars, right? I'm watching a show, I would have lost my mind. I'm like, what? And then the whole scene, not to spoil too much into this, they just had a lot of stuff in there. She fell into this dimension, this black dimension that had these different portals, and she met Anakin. If you don't know what that's about, luckily, thanks to you, Dr. Chris, I knew about. You were just like, huh? And then she survived, and then what? So it was a lot of stuff you had to know. And even then, it still wasn't compelling because they did a lot of dorking around, man, Mr. Benja. And then it didn't even end properly. But you got the characters together and it just sat there like a wet fart. It was just like, okay, we're together. We'll continue the story another time. Wait a minute. So I spent 8 hours of my time talking about a story that I may or may not care about, and then they didn't conclude it in some kind of satisfying way. At least the bad guys are defeated, or the good guys were here. They started here, and guess what? At the end of the show, guess where they were at? Right here. The bad guys were here, and guess where they ended the story? Right here. So there was no movement into the characters or the plot that was compelling enough. There was some movement, but it was very small. They could have done it in one episode.
One of my tenets with any creative work is no matter how well constructed it is and what you've gone through and what you've shown, you have to be able to have that headline statement of when you pick it up and say, hey, should I look into this, or what's this about? You're like, oh yeah, that's the story of blah. This is what happens in this. And it can come down to a one sentence thing where you talk about Empire Strikes Back. It's what happened there. Oh yeah, that was the one where this happened. What happened in this? Oh yeah, that's the one where this happened. And you have to very quickly be able to say, oh yeah, that's the show where this happened. That's the show where this happened. This is the one where Matrix, where Neo got his powers. You're talking about the Matrix. This is the one where this happened. Everything's got to have a that is, this is that. And if it's just like everything is the same at the end of it all, that's a very dangerous place to be in. Not saying it's impossible. 007 does that kind of where everything is the same, but that's a whole different vibe. And
Well,
it's not
is it the
that.
same? He's always facing a new villain, got a new girl, new settings. We know he's got a template that he follows,
Yes,
right? You got to do
yes.
these 8 things
Mhm.
in the Bond movies. You have a hot
Yeah.
car, hot babe, bad villain, save
Yeah.
the world. But
And that's the where we get with the, oh, that's the one where he goes to the moon. Okay. That's the one where he gets, that's the one with the golden
and
gun.
that was awesome. If
Okay.
you haven't seen Moonraker, go see that just to get your chuckle on, man. That is the best one ever, Moonraker. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, where everyone you look back and say, oh, that's the one where they do this, or Nightmare on Elm Street. It's October. Let's talk about, oh, that's the one where Freddy turns into a snake. And it's got to be the one
And
where
you're right. They don't have.
It can't be the one where, like, remember those goofy space whales? Yeah, that was weird. That was dumb. You know, I mean, that's
Well, it's almost like it was a continuation of Rebels, which I get. They should just call it Rebels season 4. Just be real with it. That's what it was. Or season was it
yeah.
season 4? 5. They should
Yeah.
just call it Rebels season 5. And that would have been fine. Just a live action Rebels season 5. Because that's what it was. And so anyway, Mr. Benjamin, we'll digress a little bit more, but I think the TV and then the fact that these things cost so much money and they're not compelling enough, that shows you that creativity and money maybe don't get along too well. It doesn't seem like they spend all this money and these shows are not that compelling. They're spending money, big budget. They create a whole technology, the volume, to make these images look compelling and get on time for a TV show. And The Mandalorian season 2 was amazing. And when we saw that, what they could do with the technology and then how they elevated it to Ahsoka and some other stuff, but the story is just not compelling enough. So anyway, I digress, but it does seem we'll revisit. But hopefully Marvel, hopefully Star Wars TV shows at least can get back on track.
Somebody at Disney needs to have a desk clearing moment. And what I mean by that is anytime you watch a TV show, and I've seen it actually happen in real life, which is funny, where someone's so angry, they walk up to a desk and just wipe everything off the desk and it goes flying on the floor. If you've never seen it, it's horrifying, funny, and intense at the same time, but a desk clearing moment.
Damn it. You saw that? That's a live action cliche, boy. I love it. I got to see more. I love live action cliches. I love it. When someone does a spit take That's a live action cliche. I love
Yeah.
it. Let's do it.
All right. All right. Story number 2. This is our neighborhood AI watch, and Meta is putting characters to work. AI chatbots in live action form with your favorite celebrities, Snoop Dogg and a bunch of others. This is getting weird. So basically, Meta has been doing AI for a while now. Everybody's hearing about OpenAI, ChatGPT, but Meta's been actually on the scene doing AI for quite a bit. And now they're like, hold up, let's jump back in the news. How are we going to do this? We're going to hire some creators. Let's say Snoop Dogg. Let's say, oh, what happened to the list? I don't have the list anymore ahead of me, but
Tom Brady was on there.
Tom
Yeah.
Brady. Yeah. There are quite a few. Naomi Osaka. They've got quite a few people they're making these characters out of and having them basically filmed for about 6 hours. And you get the camera view from a couple different sides. You get them speaking different lines, their mouth moving, their head moving in different ways. And you create an AI avatar that you can interact with. And it speaks in their, not it speaks definitely in their tone and with their mannerisms. And so, yeah, now we have this chatbot with Snoop Dogg, Tom Brady, Naomi Osaka, all these characters, and you can just talk to their live action AI people. So yeah, this is literally selling your persona, selling your soul to Meta so it can just go chat. I haven't tried this out yet, but I don't know what this means, but this is definitely something to watch, right?
Absolutely. We talked about this with James Earl Jones, right? Wow, that was like maybe several months ago when he signed away, hey, you can use my voice in Darth Vader till eternity, right? Sure as the state's getting some guap for that. And then we talked about the actor that reads the Harry Potter books, right?
Yeah,
And the
Stephen
audio,
Fry.
how they've been stealing his book. Yeah, Stephen Fry, they're stealing his voice. But yeah, man, this is going to be a big thing. And we'll talk about later with the actor strike. But I think this is something that's going to be more and more important, like your digital image and likeness. Who has rights to that um, into all perpetuity, all to the end of time? And so it's you pay me 5 million now, but you might make $1 trillion off my image in the year 2050. And so this is something I think a lot of lawyers need to really think through when they put these things together. Because, yeah, we're going to see a lot of these celebrities going to want to try to take advantage of this opportunity and make some money here. But yeah, man, it's scary time, but it's definitely something that more folks are going to start doing more of.
Yeah, and that was on the consensual AI side where they went into a studio, got paid 5 million for 6 hours of work, which says a lot on its own how important this stuff is. But we also have a AI Steve Harvey sweeping the internet. I don't know what this means, but yeah, AI Steve Harvey is doing his thing.
Yeah, man, it's a meme. So sure, why not? Do some interesting things to get people excited.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is happening on your side, but I'm getting a little choppiness here.
Yeah, same here, Mr. Benja. So we got some choppiness going on here, our technology here. So give it a second here. But I can hear you, so that's important. We can still do the podcast. I can hear you, right? Can you still hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Yeah. So I think it's recording locally, so that's a good thing. So we just gotta wait for it to catch up from that standpoint. But yeah, man, I saw this meme of Steve Harvey popping around, and I thought that was just hilarious. I generated images of Steve Harvey being chased by um, robots, monsters, things like that. And so it's one of those things that I think we're going to see some of these memes pop up. Probably more and more so. The scary part is that a lot of this stuff we saw that with the Pope and then with Trump, right? People thought it was real. And so I think we might start seeing more of that. So that might be one of those things that's going to get a little scary, right? When people start to make fake images that are memes, people think are real. And so this,
Well, just last time we talked about AI Tom Hanks selling dental insurance.
it is. There it is. Yeah. So anyway, so like I said, I don't have too much to comment on that. It's just that's the world we live in, and that's why we do AI watch.
It's worth bringing up. And you know what? I don't know why we didn't connect it before, but AI images of Axios just released a report saying, listen, people cannot tell what's real and what's not. There used to be like pictures or it didn't happen, but now it's, yo, we've been putting pictures in front of people. And unless you're trained for this, you can't tell. And a lot of people just see news articles that are written, they see pictures and they're like, yeah, that's the real thing. And we were just talking about what's going on on the war front. Imagine how much bad information is getting put out there on outlets that, like, we can go to the New York Times and say, okay, that image we can trust New York Times or Washington Post, or even some other institutions. We like, okay, they're a major institution. At least we know that image is solid because if it's not, people are going to throw rocks at them and they're going to have to do a retraction. That happens, but at least be sure that someone didn't sit behind a computer and say, let me make an AI image of Obama and Donald Trump in a hot tub together.
I would pay to watch. I would pay to see.
I would not.
What's going to be scary when these images start becoming moving pictures? The deep fakes, that's one thing, but they can create this whole cloth of images. They're starting to do that. I know you saw some of the ones that look like a Wes Anderson kind of movie where the head is moving a little bit, a little blinks, but eventually they're gonna have people interacting, doing stuff. Yeah, man, Miss AI Watch, man. And I saw this on the Bill Maher. I forgot the guy's name, Tristan something. He talked about he was a guy in Silicon Valley, worked for Facebook and all these guys, and said that the problems of social media and how it basically hijacks our attention. And so now we're a different society because of social media. He said the reason why is because the original intent for social media was to hijack our attention, right? They had to do what the lowest common denominator to make sure you pay attention so you stay on the platforms longer. So that was the original intent of social media. He said the original intent of AI now is to see how fast you can create the next version of AI and even using AI to improve upon the code of the original AI, right? So
Yeah.
you can actually now in real time taking code from the AI and improve that code to make the next version of AI even better. And there's just a mad rush. And so we're just doing stuff now. So the intention of AI is to improve as fast as possible. But then are we even thinking about the consequences? Are we just giving a lip service, right, to what's going to happen? And he made a good point. So I'll leave this with this, but he said, we have Paleolithic brains dealing with medieval institutions with 21st century technology.
Yeah.
Our
That's
brains can't comprehend exponential growth. We don't understand statistics. And that's why it's hard for us to gauge how things are really working. And so when you see AI, we don't know it's exponential. So yes, it's been a year, but you know what? That growth in AI has been phenomenal in that year. And then who knows what's going to happen next
yeah. We're thinking about how long it takes us to draw hands. We're not thinking about how long it's going to take AI to draw hands. Yeah. And for another evil stat, since the release of GitHub's Copilot, we found that 30 to 40% of all code on GitHub now has been written with AI assistance. That's the code repository where people go and they learn where to, okay, this code can do this and this. But yeah, if you're taking that out to 5 years, the GitHub CEO says that 5 years, 80% of the code there will be written by AI.
There you go. There you go. And man, I'm going to get this guy's name, but he has some great points. He said, think about a gallon of oil, right? The energy in a gallon of oil can replace, like, say, 200 people, right? Because the energy can produce and stuff like that. AI is very similar. AI, it could take the intelligence of a semi-smart person
Mhm.
and emulate hundreds of smart interns or smart, intelligent beings to do your dirty work. Literally, I found some prompts where you can actually create AI prompt where it acts and talks like a human being.
Yes.
So it's almost like you create one prompt and then now it's going to ask you questions and it prompts you to help it answer your question better. You're like, wait a minute, it's prompting me.
Yeah. That's wild. All right. And we'll definitely keep a watch on the AI, but let's
Yeah, we're
jump in.
watching, man. Hey guys, we're watching for you. we on that fence. You want me on that wall. You need me on that. We got, but maybe that should be our meme. We're gonna put that up there.
All right, we don't have too much time, but these other three stories aren't going to take terribly long, so let's get to them. Story number three. This is a rolling update with the actors' strike and the writers' strike, but Theo, jump into this one. The actors want more, in short.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They get the opportunity from a negotiation standpoint. Directors, DGA, Directors Guild, they signed their contract. Writers took forever, 157 days or so to sign their contract and get these concessions on AI and increases in salaries. Now the actors, you thought it was just going to be a foregone conclusion. No, they're like, nah, dog. We want to get even more. So WGA got more than the directors. Now the actors want more than the WGA. This is just labor playing games and trying to get to the next level, which is fine. I'm not against labor at all, but I'm just saying they're just trying to. And one of the sticking points is trying to get more revenue from streaming, and then also AI. Right, that's just always a ongoing standpoint. I think here they were talking about how the latest proposal, according to a source, would allow extracting consent for scanning from the actor at the time of employment. So that is when the actor is most vulnerable because they haven't yet secured the job. So basically, when they got employed for any type of gig like Marvel, they will scan your image, and now they have Theo in the next 20 Marvel movies, right? Because you signed it away because you haven't officially got paid yet for that gig. You do one time, then you got paid, but oh, by the way, we won't need you anymore. So I think the
Yeah.
actors are getting smart with how this AI is going to be used.
Yeah. And said the issue of streaming pay while we're there, I want to jump back slightly, said they wanted 2% of all streaming revenue. Sounds like a chunk.
Yeah. Is it? We don't really know, but yeah, it probably is. Yeah. But they were trying to get a cut of that. And obviously, streaming pushed back on that because we just don't have a reliable rating system in streaming. So I think they're going to renegotiate that and figure that out. But it's just moving the goalposts, just trying to figure out how do we get more money. At first, actors loved it because you got everything up front. Don't worry about it. Here, who cares how it does? You just want money, right? Here's $100,000. Go away. Now people are like, wait a minute.
Go away.
How in the world did Stranger Things do? You got all these toys and stuff. You got a McDonald's deal. I want some of that. And so that's just the nature of the game, man.
I think they should. I think they should get a chunk of all that. It just seemed like a substantial amount, and not the way you think about it. But as I said, I don't see this ending well. For somehow, I'm sorry to feel pessimistic, but I don't have a spin on it where it's like, hey, maybe it's just the landscape is changing.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's jump on to story number four. Is Threads cool now? Or are they pulling some moves? Are they pulling some type of I think they're turning knobs, but before I get into what I think about it, basically, it seems over the past weekend, past 2 weeks maybe, people have been complaining about Twitter, X, and they've said, "Hey, how come we don't have an edit button?" Or, "Oh no, my gosh, now X is charging me for an edit button." Or, "Why are my posts so short? Oh, I'm not a paid subscriber. I can't get the longer post. My reach isn't there. This stinks." Hey, I heard Threads is popping. People are getting engaged. People are going viral on Threads. People are posting these, "Hey, hope the algorithm finds me" meme post and getting all types of engagement now. I don't know. I've been on Threads, but I've definitely noticed the uptick in activity and people being interested in it. Theo, I know you're not on as much as I am because I'm in there like a dumbass, but what's been going on from your side from your point of view? How have things been going on Threads? What's happening over there?
Yeah, Mr. Benjamin, just be honest with you, I didn't know until you told me about it. I saw other folks talking about it. And I don't know when you saw the uptick, but I think people are searching for the next Twitter. But the challenge is, I don't think Threads will be the next Twitter. I don't think Meta has any inclination of being kind of like a news service like Twitter was. Because you remember whenever, to be honest with you, when I first heard about Michael Jackson's death back in '09,
Right, right.
2009, I went on Twitter and that was the thing. It was like, and that's what kind of cemented Twitter as the news source of record, right? Yes, you can go to news and talk to news all day, but Twitter would just give you that real time dopamine hit of updates, right? That you
Yeah.
needed. And obviously during the pandemic, it was very helpful then. But since Elon's taking it over, like you said, the charging, the inconsistent policy around what they will show, what they won't show, you don't know what's misinformation or not. And so it's just very not useful anymore. People still use it because I think they're addicted to it and they built their platforms on it.
Yeah.
But this is an opportunity for threads. And so I think people are kind of migrating. I don't know. Did you see that change around like last week or was it recent or last couple of weeks? Because last week obviously was when the Israel conflict, as we're recording this, there's a big conflict in Israel unfortunate between Israel and terrorist organization. And so their Twitter was the go-to place to know information about that. That is no longer the case. And did you see an uptick last September really? Or was it last Saturday, I think it was, as we record this, or was it more in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'd say okay, so that's more on point last Saturday, getting around there.
We'll see, Mr. Benja. I'm back on it, thanks to you. You're on it. I see you blowing up. I'm getting comments, content.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you like the features?
I'm up over 100 users. So I think people that are actually connected in there are, I don't want to say starved for content, but it's like they're, oh, hey, somebody's talking and somebody's doing something. And I think actually having these conversations is starting to, the people are starting to connect. So that's always a good thing when the people start to connect. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, as we record this, I saw they have some new features like the voice recording feature. Is that real, this AI algorithm thing? I just threw it out there. I didn't know if that's real or not, but you told me to do it, so I did it. What you say, hey, AI algorithm, I'm looking for these people. I think that's some BS, Mr. Ben. Is that legit?
Honestly, I think it went so much more viral. I think so many people were doing it in that format that the algorithm had no choice but to start pushing that content. I think that's a trending topic before they released the front end of what a trending topic is. I think that actually said, "Hey," I think the system actually said, "Hey, this is a trending topic. Let's boost it." Because if you go to
Mm.
that's another one of those features that's gonna be rolled out very soon, which is the trending topic, where if everyone's talking about the sports thing, or everyone's talking about this new movie, or everyone's talking about this new election, it takes all of those related concepts and people who are talking about it and starts to boost that content a little bit because it's trending. I think we're seeing that actually happen without you know, without the bells and whistles and the feedback that this is actually happening. So I think it's
So if
real.
you see some
It's
content
good.
that you see over and over again before the official trending topics show up,
Yes.
then you probably should follow that because that's what they're pushing.
Follow it, do it, get involved in the conversation, start making multiple posts on it. You'll get a quick little bump. I can almost guarantee it.
Mr. Benja. So
All right. Now we're going to have story number 5. Just a little bit of time for this little vent because we don't want to give too much of a vent to this topic. But Jada Pinkett out here doing her red talk thing all over the interwebs and the media, hasn't put out a product in, I don't know, aside from red table talk, hasn't put out a project in ages. But now she's out here spilling more tea, dropping more bombs, be a little, some might say media reckless, but this is reckless like a fox. Yeah, she's using media. I don't know if it's in a good way or a bad way, but she's doing it. Theo, real quick, what you got on this?
she's got a book out. That's number one.
Oh,
That's helping her sell the book. Yeah, Mr. Benja. She's just dropping stuff like bombs after bomb and just making Will Smith even more of a simp than he did after he slapped Chris Rock and it's bringing back up again. So it's just, dude, it's just, this is very toxic relationship. But one of the big things reveals from this is that she mentioned they haven't been married for over 6 years. So
yeah.
it's like, well, what? So anyway, Mr. Benja, to your point, I don't like it. It's messy. They put themselves up as this ultimate black celebrity
Power
couple,
couple something.
power couple, and it's not true. And it just goes back to the falsification of all our idols or all our people we put on the pedestal. You realize none of that's true. And so it's just more of the same. So to your point, she's leveraging it to sell books. I'm sure she'll probably get a lot of money hit off of this. And maybe she can be happy. Maybe she felt she was in a prison with Will Smith because of what they put themselves up in society as. And it was not true. Yeah. Hopefully Will Smith comes out and just tells the truth too, man. So that would be really awesome. I want to see Will Smith come out with books. He already did, but this would be the part 2 of his book where he'll just go, damn.
Juicy.
I love it, Mr. Benja. Man, Mr. Benja, we did it. We always get it in under time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. We enjoy talking to you guys as always. So please subscribe and comment at Show versus Business on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And you want to check us out on our website, go visit us at Show versus Business. All right, Mr. Benja, take care.
Peace.